In 1969, America put a man on the moon. An impossible dream achieved in 8 years. Today we can't even fix a crumbling bridge. What happened to American capability and determination? When America was simpler, we achieved impossible things. The moon landing wasn't just about rockets and astronauts. It was about national will, unity, shared purpose, an entire country working toward one goal. We succeeded because we believed we could, because we worked together. Today, our bridges are collapsing. Our roads are full of potholes. Our water systems are failing. We have more money and technology than 1969, but we can't organize, can't agree, can't accomplish basic maintenance. This is how America went from achieving impossible dreams to failing at routine tasks. It's 1961, May 25th. President John F. Kennedy addresses a joint session of Congress. He makes a bold declaration. America will land a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the decade ends. The goal seems impossible. America has barely put a man in space. Alan Shepard's suborbital flight happened just 3 weeks ago. 15 minutes in space. Now Kennedy is promising the moon in 9 years. The Soviet Union is ahead in the space race. They put the first satellite in orbit, Sputnik, 1957. They put the first man in space, Yuri Gagarin, April 1961. America is losing. Kennedy's moon promise is about Cold War competition, national pride, proving American superiority, but it's also about something deeper, about proving American capability, about showing the world and ourselves what we can accomplish when we commit fully to a goal. The challenge is staggering. In 1961, NASA doesn't know how to get to the moon. The technology doesn't exist. The rockets aren't powerful enough. The computers aren't sophisticated enough. The materials aren't developed. The techniques aren't proven. Everything has to be invented, designed, tested, built from scratch. Congress debates. The cost will be enormous. Estimates suggest $20 to $25 billion over the decade. That's $200+ billion in 2026 dollars. For what? To put a man on a rock 240,000 miles away? What's the practical benefit? But Kennedy makes the case. This is about American leadership, American capability, American spirit. We do these things not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because the challenge is worthy, because achievement proves our character. Congress agrees. Both parties, Democrats and Republicans, the funding passes. The Apollo program begins. Over 8 years, the nation mobilizes. NASA grows from a few thousand employees to over 30,000, but NASA is just the tip. The program employs 400,000 people across America: engineers, scientists, technicians, machinists, welders, secretaries, janitors. Every role matters. Contractors across the country build components. North American Aviation builds the command module in California. Grumman builds the lunar module in New York. IBM builds guidance computers in New York. Boeing builds the first stage of the Saturn V rocket in Louisiana. Thousands of companies, hundreds of thousands of workers. Universities conduct research. MIT develops guidance systems. Caltech analyzes trajectories. Students across America study engineering and physics inspired by the moon goal. Taxpayers fund it. $25 billion comes from tax revenue. At peak, the Apollo program consumes 4.4% of the federal budget. Citizens accept this. They understand the importance. They believe in the goal. But what made the moon landing possible wasn't just money and technology. It was something we've completely lost. The program faces setbacks. In 1967, Apollo 1 catches fire during a ground test. 3 astronauts die. Gus Grissom, Ed White, Roger Chaffee, burned alive in the command module. The nation mourns. The program could have ended there. The deaths could have killed political will. But America pushes forward, investigates the fire, redesigns the command module, makes it safer, continues. This is the American character in 1969. We face problems, we solve them, we continue. The missions progress. Apollo 7 tests the command module in Earth orbit. Apollo 8 orbits the moon, first humans to leave Earth orbit, to see the far side of the moon, to view Earth as a distant sphere. Christmas Eve, 1968. The astronauts read from Genesis. The entire nation watches, moved. Apollo 9 tests the lunar module in Earth orbit. Apollo 10 rehearses everything except the actual landing. Descends to 50,000 feet above the moon's surface, then returns. Then Apollo 11, July 1969. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, the crew that will attempt the landing. July 16th, launch day. 1 million people gather near Kennedy Space Center to watch. Hotels within 100 miles are completely booked. People camp on beaches, in cars, anywhere with a view. This is a national moment. The Saturn IV rocket launches. The most powerful machine ever built by humans, 363 feet tall, 6.5 million pounds, generates 7.6 million pounds of thrust. The ground shakes for miles. The sound is indescribable. The rocket works perfectly. 3 days later, Apollo 11 reaches the moon. July 20th. Armstrong and Aldrin descend in the lunar module. Collins orbits above in the command module. The descent is tense. Computer alarms sound. Fuel runs low. Armstrong takes manual control, finds a safe landing spot, touches down with seconds of fuel remaining. Armstrong's words, "The Eagle has landed." Houston erupts in celebration. Mission control. Dozens of engineers at consoles, all young men in white shirts and thin ties, cheers. Years of work, years of pressure, success. 6.5 hours later, Armstrong opens the hatch, descends the ladder, steps onto the lunar surface. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But the moon landing wasn't just about those astronauts, it was about what America proved it could do. Back on Earth, 600 million people watch on television, 1/5 of Earth's population. The entire world sees America achieve the impossible. In America, people gather around televisions, families, neighbors, strangers in department store electronics sections watching display TVs. Everyone stops. Everyone watches. The moment transcends politics, transcends race, transcends class. Democrats and Republicans, black and white, rich and poor. Everyone is American in that moment. Everyone feels the pride. This is what America accomplished in 1969. Not just putting men on the moon, but proving American capability, proving that with national will, with unity, with commitment, we could achieve anything. The moon landing worked because several conditions existed. First, shared purpose. The entire nation agreed on the goal, left and right. Political opponents put aside differences and united behind the mission. The Cold War created urgency, but also unity. We were Americans first. Second, willingness to invest. Taxpayers funded the program without excessive complaining. 4.4% of the federal budget, billions of dollars, accepted as necessary investment in national capability and pride. Third, competence and excellence. NASA hired the best people, demanded perfection, tested obsessively. When problems arose, they were solved. No excuses, no cutting corners. Excellence was non-negotiable. Fourth, long-term commitment. Kennedy's promise was for the decade. 8 years from commitment to achievement. No instant gratification. No expecting quick results. Long-term planning and execution. Fifth, education emphasis. The space program inspired a generation. Students studied math and science, wanted to be engineers and astronauts. Education was valued. STEM was prioritized. Sixth, national pride. Americans believed America could achieve great things, should achieve great things. We were capable. We were exceptional, not arrogant, confident. Proud of American ingenuity and determination. The moon landing proved all of it. We set an impossible goal. We worked together. We spent what was necessary. We maintained excellence. We persevered through setbacks. We achieved the impossible. That accomplishment defined a generation, defined an era, defined America. But if you look at America's infrastructure today, you'll see something that would horrify everyone who watched Armstrong's first step. Fast forward 57 years, 2026, March, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a bridge collapses. The Fern Hollow Bridge, built in 1970, the year after the moon landing, carried about 14,000 vehicles daily, school buses, commuters, delivery trucks, a vital connection. One Friday morning, the bridge collapses. Simply collapses. The structure fails. The roadway plunges into the ravine below. By chance, a school bus is crossing. The bus tumbles with the collapsing structure. 10 people are injured, students, driver, others in vehicles on the bridge. By luck, no one dies. But they could have, easily. Investigations reveal the bridge was structurally deficient, had been rated poor condition since 2011. 15 years of known problems, inspections documented the deterioration. Everyone knew the bridge was dangerous, but nothing was done. No repairs, no replacement. The bridge stayed open. 14,000 vehicles daily crossing a structure everyone knew was failing. Why wasn't it fixed? Money. Priorities. Politics. The city has limited infrastructure budget. The state has competing needs. Federal infrastructure funding is complicated, politicized. Getting money for bridge repair requires navigating bureaucracy, political fights, competing interests. Easier to keep the bridge open and hope it lasts until it doesn't. The Fern Hollow Bridge isn't unique. It's typical. The American Society of Civil Engineers releases an infrastructure report card every 4 years. The 2021 report, most recent, gives America a C-. C- for the richest nation on Earth. The details are worse. 43% of American roadways are in poor or mediocre condition. 7.5% of bridges are structurally deficient. That's 46,000 bridges. 46,000 bridges in America are structurally deficient, known to be dangerous, still in use. Water systems are failing. Many American cities still use water pipes installed in the 1800s. Lead pipes? They leach lead into drinking water. Flint. Michigan's water crisis was just the most visible example. Hundreds of cities have similar problems. Power grids are outdated. Blackouts are increasingly common. The Texas grid failed in 2021, leaving millions without power in freezing temperatures. Hundreds died. The grid was poorly maintained, poorly regulated, unprepared. Dams are aging. The average dam in America is 61 years old. Many are past their designed lifespan. The Oroville Dam in California nearly failed in 2017. 188,000 people evacuated. The spillway had deteriorated for years. Everyone knew. Nothing was done until crisis-forced action. Public transit is crumbling. The New York subway system, once world-class, is decrepit. Track failures, signal problems, delays constant. The system was built 100-plus years ago and barely maintained. Airports are outdated. LaGuardia Airport was called Third World by the vice president. Crumbling terminals. Inadequate facilities. American airports embarrass us compared to modern airports in Asia and Europe. But here's what's most shocking. We have the money to fix all of this, but we can't organize to do it. The infrastructure crisis isn't about lack of resources. America in 2026 is far wealthier than America in 1969. GDP is exponentially higher. Technology is vastly more advanced. Engineering knowledge is more sophisticated. We have the money, we have the technology, we have the knowledge. We just can't organize to use them. Why not? First, political dysfunction. In 1961, Congress passed Apollo funding with bipartisan support. Both parties agreed. In 2026, everything is partisan warfare. Infrastructure bills get held hostage to unrelated political fights. Republicans and Democrats can't agree on anything. Even basic infrastructure, bridges, roads, water, becomes political. The 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act took months of bitter negotiation, passed with minimal Republican support, provides $1.2 trillion over 10 years. Sounds like a lot. But spread across the entire nation's infrastructure needs, it's grossly inadequate. The American Society of Civil Engineers estimates we need $2.6 trillion just to bring infrastructure to acceptable condition. Second, short-term thinking. The Apollo program was an 8-year commitment. Today's politicians think in 2-year election cycles. Infrastructure projects take decades, but politicians want ribbon cuttings before the next election. Long-term investment doesn't win votes immediately. Third, competing interests. In 1961, the space race unified the nation. Today, every infrastructure dollar is fought over: cities versus rural areas, red states versus blue states, roads versus transit versus bridges versus water systems. Everyone wants their project funded first. Consensus is impossible. Fourth, regulatory paralysis. Building anything in America now requires navigating layers of regulations, environmental reviews, permits, public comment periods, lawsuits. The process can take 5 to 10 years before construction begins. In 1961, we moved fast, cut through bureaucracy. In 2026, we're paralyzed by process. Fifth, cost inflation. Infrastructure costs have exploded beyond general inflation. Building a mile of subway in New York costs $2 to $3 billion. In Paris or Madrid, the same mile costs $200 to $300 million. American infrastructure is 10 times more expensive than comparable projects in other developed countries. Nobody knows exactly why. Combination of regulations, labor rules, contractor markups, inefficiency. Sixth, loss of capability. America has outsourced and lost technical capacity. We no longer manufacture much of what we need. The steel for bridges comes from China, the concrete from wherever it's cheapest. We've lost the robust domestic industrial base that existed in 1961, and the human cost of this failure is mounting every day. The Fern Hollow Bridge collapse injured 10 people, but that's just one incident. Every year, deficient bridges cause accidents. People die, cars plunge into rivers, trucks crash through guardrails on crumbling roads. Bad roads cause 10,000 traffic deaths annually. Potholes cause vehicles to swerve. Poor road conditions reduce traction. Inadequate signage and lighting contribute to crashes. Lead in drinking water poisons children. Lead exposure causes permanent cognitive damage, IQ loss, behavioral problems, thousands of children affected, lifelong consequences. Power grid failures kill people. Texas 2021, 246 deaths from the blackout and freeze. Elderly people freezing to death. Dialysis patients unable to get treatment, preventable deaths caused by infrastructure failure, failing dams threaten lives. The Oroville Dam evacuation displaced 188,000 people. They could have died. The only reason they didn't is luck. The spillway held long enough for evacuation. Beyond deaths, infrastructure failure costs productivity. Americans spend 8.6 billion hours annually stuck in traffic on inadequate roads. That's human life wasted. Time that could be spent working with family, doing anything productive, wasted sitting in cars. Bad infrastructure costs money. Vehicle repairs from pothole damage cost Americans $130 billion annually. Water main breaks cost $18 billion yearly. Power outages cost $150 billion, all preventable with proper infrastructure investment. American competitiveness suffers. Businesses need reliable infrastructure. When ports are inefficient, when roads are congested, when power is unreliable, businesses locate elsewhere. Jobs leave. Economic growth slows. The psychological cost is harder to measure but real. Americans see crumbling infrastructure, see bridges collapsing, see systems failing. It erodes confidence, makes us feel like a declining nation because we are declining in this area. In 1969, Americans felt pride. We put men on the moon. We achieved the impossible. Today, Americans feel embarrassment. We can't fix a bridge. We can't accomplish basic tasks. But here's what's most painful. Other countries have surpassed us using the same capability we once had. While America's infrastructure crumbles, China has built high-speed rail connecting its entire country. 25,000 miles of high-speed rail. Built in 15 years, trains running 200-plus miles per hour, efficient, modern, impressive. America has 0 miles of true high-speed rail. 0. The country that put men on the moon can't build a fast train. Japan's bullet trains have run since 1964, 50-plus years, never had a fatal accident, always on time. American trains are slow, late, accident-prone. Europe's infrastructure is modern, well-maintained. Bridges don't collapse, roads are smooth, public transit works, water is clean. They're maintaining and improving. We're declining. Dubai built the world's tallest building, artificial islands, advanced metro systems. A Middle Eastern desert city has better infrastructure than American cities with centuries of history. South Korea has internet speeds averaging 200 megabits per second. America averages 50 megabits per second. We invented the internet. They have better internet. Singapore's airport is spectacular, modern, efficient, beautiful. American airports are cramped, old, embarrassing. These comparisons hurt because we used to lead. In 1969, America was the undisputed leader. The moon landing proved it. We were the most capable nation on Earth. Now we're falling behind. Not because other countries are doing anything we couldn't do. They're using American technology, American techniques, American knowledge. They're just executing better, investing more, organizing more effectively, maintaining political will. We have all the advantages. Wealth, technology, education, resources, but we can't organize to use them. The capability hasn't disappeared. The knowledge still exists, but the will is gone. The unity is gone. The belief that we can achieve great things together, that's gone. In 1961, Kennedy said we're going to the moon, and we did it. In 2026, everyone agrees bridges need fixing, and we can't do it. That's the tragedy. Not that we lack ability, that we lack will. But the moon landing showed something else, what we're capable of when we actually try. The Apollo program was more than just landing on the moon. It proved what organized American effort could achieve. The technology developed for Apollo spawned entire industries. Integrated circuits, computer chips were advanced dramatically by space program needs. Those circuits became the foundation of the computer revolution. Every smartphone, every computer, every modern electronic device built on technology pushed forward by Apollo, satellite technology, GPS, weather forecasting, telecommunications, all benefited from space program advances. Medical technology, devices developed for monitoring astronauts led to improved patient monitoring in hospitals, remote health monitoring, telemedicine concepts, materials science, new alloys, new plastics, new insulation, developed for spacecraft, now used in thousands of applications. The program employed 400,000 people at peak. Good jobs, skilled jobs, careers in engineering, science, manufacturing. Those jobs supported families, built middle-class prosperity. The program inspired a generation. Young people studied hard, pursued STEM education, became engineers and scientists. The STEM pipeline was full because the moon program showed that science and engineering mattered, led to amazing careers, changed lives. The program proved American exceptionalism wasn't a myth. We actually were capable of extraordinary things. When challenged, we rose to the challenge. When told something was impossible, we did it anyway. That confidence shaped a generation. The people who grew up watching the moon landing believed America could do anything because they'd seen it proven. That generation built amazing things. Advanced technology, created companies, solved problems. They had confidence because they'd seen what American capability could achieve. The moon landing's legacy wasn't just footprints on lunar dust. It was proof of concept, proof that with will, investment, and unity, America could accomplish anything. Was 1969 perfect? No. The space race was driven by Cold War competition, not pure scientific interest. The money could have been spent on poverty, education, healthcare. Some criticized it as wasteful. The environmental impact of rocket launches wasn't considered. Does 2026 have advantages? Yes. More awareness of infrastructure needs, better technology available, some progress being made. The infrastructure bill, though inadequate, is something. But the fundamental capability was lost, the ability to unite behind big goals, to invest in long-term projects, to execute competently, to achieve great things together. We went from achieving the impossible to failing at routine maintenance. When America was simpler, we put a man on the moon. an impossible dream achieved in 8 years. We proved American capability, unity, and determination could accomplish anything. Today we can't fix crumbling bridges, can't maintain basic infrastructure, not because we lack ability, but because we lack will. We achieved the impossible then. We fail at the routine now. If you remember the moon landing, share where you were in the comments. What did it mean to you? Like this video and subscribe to When America Was Simpler. When America was simpler, we proved we could accomplish anything. We need to remember that capability.